Farm Bureau guest line. Check out favorites.com and go with the home team. Luke, so let's actually start with the championship first before we get to regional. I know it's been a few days now, and everybody's eyes are focused forward, but Southern Miss yet again wins a conference championship.
They 2 for 2 in the Sun Belt, have never lost a Sun Belt conference tournament. Yeah, but it was one of those what we've seen from this team throughout the year. I mean, they typically, through the ebbs and flows of a baseball season, sometimes you'll see teams when they're down and out of a game, they'll just, okay, we'll get them tomorrow. This team throughout the year, other than maybe the Ole Miss loss earlier in the year, this team really never threw the towel in. And that's what you saw in the Sun Belt tournament. I mean, they took care of Coastal, had to come back to beat Troy, had to come back to beat App, had to come back to beat Georgia Southern. And that's, what gives you hope going into the postseason. This is a team that we wondered, could they get on one of those streaks that they've had the last 4 or 5 years? And you look up and enter in postseason play, they've won 14 out of the last 15.
What's different about this year's team in terms of I know the makeup's different, the roster's different. There's not a Tanner Hall at the front of this rotation, but they're still very successful. We talked yesterday a lot about the culture of Southern Miss baseball and how that program is it's set up for success as long as you keep a good coach in there, which they have. What about this team is different and in some ways better maybe from last year's team?
They really took in the fall a little more patient approach at the plate, and you've seen it pay off with guys, like Carson Paytos having a career year in on-base percentage. You've got, 5 or 6 starters that have over 400 in on-base percentage. They're hitting 295 as a team. They haven't hit for power as much, but they are hitting for better average than they have under Travis Krill's leadership. And, I mean, where they were really shaky early on, the back end of the bullpen, even with the losses of McCarty English and then the rotation with Will Armistead, I think you've really seen kind of the genius of Christian Ostrander down the stretch. And even after games where they wouldn't play, he would play very well. He'd come on the Eagle Hour and, just believe in this team and believe in what they were capable of doing.
And now we look at the bracket, and I asked this question on Twitter yesterday. By the way, I don't know if you're aware, this week USM fans love me and Michael, so we're doing good.
Hey, I want to say
we are back.
I want to say just yesterday, outstanding objective coverage. I mean, I don't ever beat you guys up for that, but it was.
Thank you. Well, let's stay with that then, because I don't understand how Southern Miss, who is easily one of the better 2 seeds in this tournament, right? They have to be. I would put them in the group with State, with LSU, with Wake, with Indiana State. That's the top 5. Indiana State heading to Kentucky, the 2 seed. Southern Miss heading to the 1 seed. Make it make sense for me, Luke. Why is Southern Miss headed to Knoxville?
We didn't get any really leaks. I walked into the selection show with the team the other day where all the fans were. And, about 5 minutes before the selection show began, somebody walked up and said, "You're not going to like it." And a couple leaks got out, and I just said, there is no way. I mean, we thought Tallahassee or Stillwater was where the Eagles were going to be headed. And if you look at the RPI, Stillwater made sense. State got the 12. Southern Miss was 1 back. That would have made sense going to the 11. We all thought it was going to be Tallahassee. The way that some of it was explained to me, and by the way, just when Knoxville and Southern Miss was announced, fine, but it was almost like a little collective disbelief, kind of like, really? We just went undefeated in the tournament, and they're going to send us to the 1 seed. But, oh, well, NCAA likes storylines sometimes. Anyway, I guess the way it was explained to me was when some of the SEC teams went to, like, power 2s, I think Alabama being a 2 in Tallahassee messed Southern Miss up. But they did the same thing with LSU. I mean, 3 out of the top 4 regionals have a top 26, 25 RPI as their number 2, with Indy State being in, like you said. So, yeah, I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense. The only thing I think the committee thought is they would give, some low 3s and 4s on paper at least and put some power 2s with the top seeds.
We get this question on the text line. Any info on Carson Payto?
Day to day. That's what was said today. And it's just, the kind of way that he talked to, he's, flying the flag of I'm going to support my teammates. But I mean, you look at what they did last week. They got really creative, put Monastery in right, put Seth Smith at second base, and it worked. But man, when you're Peto's having the best, other than his power numbers, probably the best is Golden Eagle career, 285, 11 home runs, 46 RBIs. You really want him going into a regional. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Luke joining us on the Farm Bureau guest line. Check out favorites.com and go with the home team.
When you look at this bracket, obviously everybody's going to focus directly on Tennessee because that's the big name there. But Indiana is a good program. They've been in the NCAA tournament a number of times. What about this matchup in Game 1 for the Golden Eagles? How do you see it?
Well, it's the pitching is one thing. I think from the Golden Eagle perspective, I think you'll see Billy Oldham. But I mean, Indiana has. We were just kind of trying to break them down today. We're going to get an Indiana representative on the Eagle Hour tomorrow or Thursday. But you look at they have a lefty starter.
I know about 10 of them. If you need one, everybody on the beat here in Starkville went to Indiana.
Ty Bothwell is a lefty, struck out 82 in 79 innings. He's given up 13 bombs. I think they make you go lefty because Southern Miss might have 5 or 6 lefties in that lineup. Indiana's crazy good. Their power numbers, they got 5 guys over 300, 78 home runs, 4th in the country in doubles with like 134. So they can rake. They beat Dallas Baptist. They split with Indiana State, but they're 4-12 against tournament teams, and that could be off a couple games. I kind of did that in haste for the show earlier, but this is a team kind of Troy. Troy's one of the things they flew on their resume to get into the tournament, which didn't happen. They went to Bloomington and won 2 out of 3 up there. So they're one of the lower teams at a 55 RPI, but they finished 3rd in the 4th best RPI conference, the Big Ten.
I kind of pick on the ballpark for obvious. I mean, just because it's fun to me, but it is a bit of a crackerjack box there, especially to right. So you mentioned all the lefties. I mean, you see fly balls to right with 90-mile-an-hour exit velocities go over the fence there at Knoxville.
Yeah, I mean, Dalton McIntyre's got a chance, right? I mean, we'll see what happens. He's got 2, and they were short porches the other time. But, yeah, I mean, I think it's for Southern Miss where their MO has been all year. It's just getting guys on base. I mean, even you'll look at sometimes they score 7 and 8 runs, and they still left like 10 on base. And so the message will be longer at bats, let them walk, and especially if they throw Bothwell. I mean, he's hit 13 guys this year. So I think for the Golden Eagles, just how can we get guys on base? And it'll be interesting to see what they do at the catching position. I mean, you would never say this. The catching position at Southern Miss right now is wide open entering the postseason.
Imagine.
Stockman or Odom, will start that or see who will start. But I think the bullpen, it will be Oldham and Mazza, and then they'll patch it together from there with Sibley and Allen and Middleton and those guys.
Luke, I'm going to put you on the spot here, and I'm doing this on purpose. After the game Friday, you free to recap it with us?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Let's do it.
So thank you for your time today. Appreciate you. Looking forward to watching on Friday at noon, right? Because we said 1 earlier, but that was Eastern. So Friday at noon, and we'll hear from you on Friday after the game. Thanks, man.
All right, guys.